And we're on. Hey, everybody, welcome. Sunday Night Sessions. I'm Tracy Jameson, along with my co-host and good friend, Val Smith. And we're back again after the holidays. Hey, Val, Happy New Year to you. Great to be back in the saddle again.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. A toast to 2016 and to all the wonderful viewers out there and anyone that has an opportunity to take a look at this 200-300 years from now. Here we are in 2016, and we're toasting to you long after we're gone. So, hey, it's all legendary stuff, and we appreciate y'all watching.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny, guys. I've had a lot of conversations. You know what, these things, we never know what direction we're going to go. It's, you know, it's sometimes a little controversial. Sometimes it's a little unpredictable, and sometimes a little bit of both. And we've already been deep into conversation before we even hit the live button here. But, you know, it's been interesting. I had a couple of really great conversations, or really interesting conversations earlier in the week. January seems to be a time of renewal for people. Obviously, it's the beginning of the year. People get into these, you know, setting their New Year's resolutions. And you know, at the gym, it's going to be about 5-6 weeks of of just busy. You know, people are walking on the beach and doing all their things and everything. And, you know, it's a great time to, you know, really sort of, you know, think about your business. You know, people are busy. They're still in that sort of busy mode. And so, you know, a lot of change. I think that I was just telling you, I was just watching our last Sunday night sessions we did. It was 3 weeks ago. And there was a lot of really, really great information on there. And I think it's really good that we kind of maybe go back and revisit some of that, because I heard it for a second time. I was part of that conversation, but I just went back and I listened to it again. And I got more out of it again the second time, even though I was part of the conversation. I listened to it again. And I think that really goes in tune with what we were saying on there about the programming, about the captain and crew, and the internal dialogue that we do. And I think people do that this time of the year because, you know, they say, oh, God, you know, I'm overweight, I ate too much, or I've got to get back to the gym, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And yet people really don't make the real decision to make the change. And I know I shared this with you with somebody earlier in the week where they said, oh yeah, I was on this, you know, protein drink or whatever, and I lost 60 pounds. And I said, well, you didn't lose the 60 pounds because you were on the protein drink. You lost the 60 pounds because you made the decision to lose the weight. And nothing,
correct,
right? You can't do anything
correct.
you can't make any change without first making the decision to do so, correct?
Absolutely correct. Undeniably correct.
So I think that, you know, I love that the captain and crew that we were talking about last week. You know, we did the diagrams, and for anybody who hasn't watched that, I really encourage you, highly recommend that you go back and watch it again and again and again, because it is all about that dialogue, that internal dialogue that we do. And, you know, we want to see people succeed, right? We really want to be able to help people to make that change. But I think that, you know, we talk a lot about the truth and like, what's the secret to success? And I really believe that, and I had this conversation with someone today. We sat on my deck here today. Oh, it was beautiful out here today, by the way. Beautiful blue sunny skies. I was sitting outside in a t-shirt. Sorry for all you people out east. But, you know, we were talking about the truth. Do you think that people really want to hear the truth?
You know, that's a really good question. I honestly, I'm stuck. I don't know how to answer that question. People gravitate to falsehoods before they gravitate to truth in this industry. Although they say they want the truth, people want integrity and credibility and honesty. You know, that's a really good question. I know I want the truth. I know I'm not afraid of the truth. And Tracy, in our experience, and I don't mean to be arrogant here, but I got to be arrogant to some degree here, because there's a classification of people out there on the internet, and we've reached out to people, and they've been shy. They've been, you know, like a running back trying to run away from us. We've reached out to people to help, assist, to share, and they're in avoidance. And you know, usually people like going to presentations where there's a lot of hype, smoke, and mirrors. I guess not everybody. There's realists out there too, but there's a lot of people that don't want to face it because the truth is very painful. It's a very painful situation. You get stripped down in your truth. I mean, I had to go through that process, man. I was in denial for years. And you have to do your own work, and all that stuff is really, you know, you're bringing up some really important stuff here. This is really important in business. I'm going to go off a little bit on a tangent because this is what I do best. You got me stimulated, and then right now I'm watching the movie Steve Jobs. I'm watching it a second time, Steve Jobs, the man behind the machine. And I'm really fascinated. I'm not watching it intellectually. I'm really absorbing and taking it in, and I'm putting myself in the mindset of Steve Jobs to some degree. I obviously can't do that 100%, but I'm assimilating and internalizing the movie and feeling his character, and all those things are so important to really have clarity and understanding of what's going on. And I think what you and I excel at in this industry, and this is a little bit arrogant in saying this, is we understand. We can put ourselves in multiple shoes and not just sit there and say, oh yeah, we know that, we know this. We live it, breathe it, feel it. I mean, we take it on like oxygen. We know what works and what doesn't work in this industry now. And I'm just going to go off on a tangent a little bit here just because of what you're talking about. And then, you know, the whole Steve Jobs movie that I'm watching upstairs that's still playing now. I'll have to go back and hit the rewind on it. But, you know, it stimulates a conversation, and some of the posts that I've seen on Facebook, you know, you've got people out there that are, you know, atheists. You've got people out there that are, you know, people that are part of the system, G-O-R, God, of organized religion. Then you've got the GOABs, God of all being, you know, believing in a God of all being. That's what I believe in anyhow. There's people out there that believe in a Big Bang theory. And, you know, I've always had those internal battles. And all this is a part of business. This is all related to business. So I'm not going to take you off on a philosophical, but we have to understand the genesis of things and following the roadmap and following the blueprint and everything in life. And I don't believe in the Big Bang theory. And I don't believe in the Big Bang theory because I don't believe there's any real evidence there, although people will say there's scientific evidence and man evolved from apes and, you know, goes way back. That's not evidence. I don't see that as being genuine evidence. And my spirit tells me that intelligence totally outweighs science. You know, to be able to have living, breathing cells, everything around us is intelligent. And that's one of the things I don't think I talked about the captain and crew is when I said, you know, the mind, the M-I-N-D. I got a little bit of a cold here, so if I rasp out, so I'll cough a bit. The M-I-N-D. I always tell people, what's the M-I-N-D? M-I-N-D. People say, well, the mind is the brain. I don't believe it is. I believe the mind is the totality of the body, and the mind is all intelligent, right? And so the only Big Bang that I believe in, because they talk about the Big Bang theory, I mean, how do you create intelligence out of a Big Bang and an explosion? There's a nothingness, and what created nothingness, and then there has to be this big explosion, and all of a sudden over, you know, millions and billions of years, there was an evolutionary process that evolved into, out of rocks and molten lava, all of a sudden became feelings and emotions and bonds and connections and the unexplainable that human beings still can't explain today, feelings and you know, so much that's far greater than science can even begin to explain. And so the only Big Bang that I believe in, there was a Big Bang, and the Big Bang is when your parents got together and they had a Big Bang. Yeah, no, really, that's the Big Bang. That's the only Big Bang that exists, is when a man and a woman get together and then they had a Big Bang. And in that Big Bang, but here's what I want you to think about, you know, think about it. Gazillions of sperm were released in that Big Bang. Gazillions of sperm were released in that Big Bang. And a lot of those little spermies died, billions of sperms died, and only one of them made it to the egg. You know who made it to the egg, Tracy? You did.
Yeah.
You. Yeah. So, I mean, you're great. Everyone's great. Nobody should have low self-esteem. You know, we somehow I'm here on Earth. Why was I born in 1963? You know, why am I here? You know what? How did that one sperm go fertilize the egg and, you know, keep all the others away, you know, dominate that egg and create this physical being that you see in front of you? I mean, that's a wicked competition. What are the odds of that even happening, that you're alive to be here? So you're meant to be here. That can't just be out of a rock or, you know, some piece of crap falling out of space or something like that. There's something special that magnifies who you are and what you're meant to be. And so that's the only Big Bang I believe in. And then I also believe that our divine birthright has been taken away from us. We've been molded. And people that say that, you know, it's all God's will, I don't buy into God's will. because I don't think it's God's will to be shaped and molded by your parents. You know, it's not God's will to have me pick up this cup right now and drink it. I'm not going to sit back and say, well, if it's God's will, I'll make that decision and do these things. You know, we are able to take life, and we can take that life, our experience, our journey in life, and take it like plasticine, and we can mold it in anything we want. We can mold it into the good, the bad, the ugly. We can mold it into ugly things. We can mold it into negative experiences. We can keep taking that plasticine and putting the energy into it of negative thoughts, negative beingness, you know, negative actions. We can be cynical, skeptical, and jaded. I can mold that plasticine into be cynical, skeptical, and jaded, and being cautious and never willing to take a risk or chance, or just to kind of be a conformist to the norm and say, I'm willing to follow that blueprint. You see, we can take that plasticine. My son can take the plasticine, and he can.
Oh, are you frozen? Did I lose you? Oh, I think Val was having some trouble with his internet earlier today. Looks like you're frozen, Val. If that's the case, well, we'll get you back in and back out again, or to log back in again. You know, interesting concept. I love what you're talking about. I'm just going to fill some space here until I get you back going live again. I hope you haven't lost your internet, because I know you were having trouble with that earlier today. You know, here's a really great scenario, folks, because we talked about this another time, you know, about the journey that we take through the network marketing industry, specifically through life, whatever the case may be. That step in the growth that we go through. You know, Val, we told the stories about him, you know, when he got thrown to the wolves on a conference call, and where he had to take control of the conference call because the guy didn't show up, and he went through the, you know, he said the puking and everything else because he was really put on the spot. You know, here's the scenario right now. Like, here I am. So, you know, let me tell you my story, the same scenario. When you are put into these kind of situations, they really are an opportunity for growth. And you know what? You need to learn, people need to learn how to run towards that kind of stuff as opposed to withdraw from it. Because the really great thing is that these opportunities to grow give you the fuel to change. And if you don't do these things, then nothing in your life is going to change. Now, and I talked a little bit about, you know, about being afraid of the truth. I want to expand a little bit on that, because in a conversation I had with someone earlier today, we sat out on my deck here talking about the truth, and they were our personalities are very similar. And I've always been a person that has spoke the truth, whether it be in my corporate world or amongst my friends. You know, there's a point of making sure that you stay politically correct to a certain degree, but you don't change the truth to accommodate, you know, to change the truth of it. I've always been a person that stood up for the underdog, because people are afraid to speak for themselves. And I don't understand that concept, because, you know, I've gone in my, and I've been chastised for it. But I've always believed that the truth, they say the truth will set you free. And I truly believe that it will. Now, let's take that into context back to what I was talking about earlier. You know, the New Year brings up a place where people will make their New Year's resolutions, and you know, they want to change their financial status. They want to change a whole lot of things about themselves. What is it about January that provokes that? Because it's a new year. It's an opportunity to make the decision again. However, if you're going to change anything, like for instance, I say to people, if you're a smoker, then, you know, don't quit smoking, just become a non-smoker. It's the decision to do something. So, you know, like I think it fits it kind of into what Val was talking about, the decision to actually change something. You know, visualization is really key. And again, I'm going to go back to the situation we were talking about before sorry, the Sunday night sessions from 3 weeks ago. I think it's critical. It's dated on December the 13th was the last one we did. It really is key to what your belief system is. And, you know, we all go through some tough times, and it's okay to go and kind of lick your wounds here and there, you know, to get through some tough times. But you can't fall prey to it. You have to look beyond that and always look forward to where you're going to get to. Now, people that put their heads in the sands and, you know, what we've seen, as he says, in with regards to network marketing and the online stuff, is that people are repeating the same thing over and over and over again because nothing inside of them has changed. So they're gonna they have hope, which is really great. They'll have hope into a new scenario, and there he is back again. You know, Val,
the force was so powerful that I got big banged right off. I had to go reset my router. I just everything
so much. But you know what was really awesome about that? You know, you and I talk about the scenarios way back in the day, you know, when, you know, you were thrown to the wolves and you had to get on the conference call because the other guy didn't show up. And I said, here I am.
Yeah, there you go. You had to take over.
I had to go through the face.
I'm sure it's okay. So yeah, we you know, everything. I just go back. I think the last thing I said was big bang, and then all of a sudden I got banged out.
Oh, we're gone.
So, you know, so really we can take our lives and shape it and mold it in any which way, shape, or form we want. People are afraid of that. They're afraid of their potential. They're afraid of their power. They're afraid of their inner self. And it's because we've been repressed, suppressed as a being all our lives, with guilt and parental assistance on that, religious assistance on that, and, you know, being small personalities in a small body at the beginning of our genesis, you know, and then people shaping and molding us. You know, it's amazing. Even with, and I know this is a fact for sure, because I know there's something in spirit for sure, because I've seen it with adopted people. And yeah, well, you yourself, and you know, even I'm not going to bring up any other scenarios, but I can tell you firsthand other scenarios, several that I know of, that you know, people have been able to break free of the molding that their parents have set out for them, or their culture has set out for them, because they biologically were not a part of that. And I know that for a fact. I mean, I have somebody in my life that was brought up in one of the wealthiest families out there. And, you know, bottom line is they are still rooted to their origin. It's really amazing how they didn't let that whole episode in their life, which was, you know, most of their life, you know, allow them.
It's in the DNA. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it's definitely in the DNA. Yeah.
So anyhow, when you take a look at Steve Jobs too, I mean, Steve Jobs was adopted. He was given up, and he became one of the most brilliant people in the world. And you know, he, you know, there's a good, the bad, the ugly with Steve Jobs. If you watch the movie, the personality and who he was. But you know, what I really loved, I won't go off on too much of a tangent here, because I can go off and freak people out. They get scared of this stuff sometimes. But anyhow, the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and I did talk to you about this, Tracy. There's a few more I've added to it since I'm watching it a second time. But when I watched the movie with Steve Jobs, you know, the man behind the machine, the things that became clear to me, just for marketing, understanding, because it's tough when you're in a situation where you're at, Tracy, where I'm at, because we're thinkers. I'm a very introverted person, you know, striving to be kind of an extrovert in a way, but I'm a thinker, and I analyze, and I think about people. Why do they quit? Why do they give up? Why can't people see the truth? Why can't people, maybe they do see the truth. You know, why can't people take their game to the next level? Why do people rather have excuses for why they can't do this, can't do that? Why do people let past experiences dominate and control their level of success, who they are, what they're all about, where they're going? I'm just dealing with this to get some color in here. So a lot of things really, really fascinate me. And then I started thinking about it, like even in the home-based business industry, most people don't even know what a home-based business is. They think it's just like, hey, man, join a business opportunity, spend bucks, market a product, service, get a system, get out there and make money. There's way more to it. There is so much more to a home-based business than most are even letting on. But to be really successful in a home-based business, to be truly successful in a home-based business, some of the words that I brought up to you that I got from my first, reflection of the Steve Jobs movie was intimacy. Intimacy is so important. When you take a look at top leaders, not all top leaders, because some top leaders in the industry are like prostitutes, they're like hooers out there. They're there strictly for the money. But when you take a look at the genuine ones, they are connected. They have an intimate connection to their company, their product, their service. They really, really do. And I know you got to separate emotions to some degree, and business is business, and we all understand that. And but you know what? The ones that really stand out, the best leaders that I know, the true leadership in this industry, are those that have an intimate relationship with their business. When you take a look at Steve Jobs, and you watch the movie and you go through the storyline, the storyboard of how that movie plays out, and what Steve was all about, the interaction with girlfriends and his children, a particular child, Lisa, that he had along the way, and his friends and whatnot. Steve had a genuine intimacy with his vision, and vision is another word. You got to be a visionary. Visionary is so important. Without vision, the dream is going to die. I really believe that. Visionaries are the best leaders out there, I believe. Visionaries that act upon the vision. So you have that intimacy with your business. And the problem today in marketing is most people don't have vision. You've got the blind leading the blind, and the dysfunction recruiting the dysfunction, leading the dysfunction, until people question that, stop, and decide to detox the dysfunction out of their system. Again, that's another whole process for another time. But all these things, so you've got intimacy. If people can formulate an intimacy with their company to get everybody, I mean, teaching intimacy, developing a relationship with the company instead of just developing a relationship with the money in the system, fall in love with something. And then, what Steve Jobs did to make Apple so successful via his vision, via his intimacy, is he created an intimate environment. When you take a look at the iPhone, for example, when you watch people with those phones, I don't understand it yet. I still haven't figured out why people like to text. I don't have an iPhone. I don't have a cell phone. You don't have. We don't. I don't relate to it. I don't even on Facebook. I don't like to text. Even on Skype, I don't like to text. I go to video. I go to the phone. I go to the microphone. Let's talk. I mean, this is my addiction here. Is that texting would be to somebody else. So texting allows people to be intimate, and that's where he was so successful. Is he created an intimate playground within the iPhone, an intimate playground within the iPhone, and he gave people a sanctuary. And the other key word that I wish to use is he made it personal. It's very personal. People's lives are in that iPhone. Intimate things about who they are, what they're all about, are in that iPhone through relationships with husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, lovers, relationships, your banking information, college, school, dates, journals, diaries. They created a world within an iPhone, and people have gravitated, and they hold on to that iPhone right to their chest. You see some people just kind of like hold it right here like that, and it's part of their heart.
Have you ever seen anybody lose their phone?
Oh yeah, they go nuts if they do lose it. It's the end of the world. I mean, they don't care if they lose their kids. They care if they lose their iPhone. It's like pandemonium panic. So the really interesting thing is he also developed love. Love is a very important part of it. He created a loving, nurturing environment all within his iPhone, his environment. And I thought that was very important. And another key word is culture. He created an unbelievable culture with iPhones, an unbelievable culture. And he created an environment where he can keep adding to that by adding apps. He monopolized people's lives. He found a way to bring people to a platform and allowed people to run their lives off that platform. Far more intimacy into that cell phone than into their daily lives. You can do everything on a cell phone. You can bank on a cell phone, watch movies on a cell phone, do video on a cell phone, place your orders for food on your cell phone. Everything you need, want, desire has become a life. The cell phone, the iPhone, it's all become an environment, just a sanctuary for people, and is absolutely magnificent. Now, how do you take that and take those same characteristical traits and move that into a home-based business? You know, that's the key. And people are not intimate with their companies. They're not intimate with their products. Many are, majority, excuse me, the majority are not. They're not intimate. They don't have a connection. But they're there because they believe that somebody told them that if you use this system, you're going to get rich. If you use our tools, you're going to get rich.
Right, but they've
enabled. I'll shut up in a sec. They enabled people. They haven't taught people to have autonomy within a business and to nurture and love that business and to be able to think with that business and communicate with that business and grow with that business, develop with that business. They've taught people to be enabled, codependent, and totally useless, dysfunctional, and broken down in that business. So you've got a lot of broken down components to those businesses.
Yeah.
I'll let you talk for a second. My dog's freaking out here. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you know what, you nailed it, because it's so true, is that, you know, there's hope. People do have hope, and thank goodness for that, because, you know, there's enough devastation out there for everybody, you know, in just the world in general, in their home lives, in their work environments, that people want change, but they don't know how. And so in the home business arena, you know, you get into that marketing structure where people are throwing out, you know, get in first, do all that other stuff. But you're right, there's no intimacy in it. It's just blah, 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 blah. And people buy into the blah, 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 but there's no functionality in it that moves people in any direction. They just plop, and they like, there's no connection, there's no intimacy, there's no growth, there's no movement, there's no learning, there's no nothing. See, one of the great things that Val, you know, I've watched you since you and I met personally, became friends and worked together, and we've become very good friends. I've never stopped watching you. I listen to you. I listen to your language, and I learned that. I already did it, but you do it. I watch you do it as well. You do that with everybody, and I've learned to watch your signals, because you say, well, how did they interact? What was what was all that? You analyze everything. And I think that, like, there's two ends of the spectrum. Most people don't analyze anything. They'll sit down and watch The Walking Dead, and they were entertained, and they go to bed tomorrow, go to bed that night, get up tomorrow morning, and then they go, well, then they'll go and check their back office, and there's no money in there, you know, but there's no change. So, you know, you and I've got a really unique scenario, because, you know, we're thinkers. Like you said, we're thinkers. We do analyze things. I have a yearn to learn. I want to know. I want to become better. There's something out there. It's kind of like the X-Files, you know. It's out there, and I feel like I need it. I need to have it. I have a real hunger for that, and I don't know. Is that a different breed? Is that just like, I don't know. Where's the separation where people don't understand that part of it? Like, you can't have something if you don't apply yourself. It doesn't miraculously fall out of the sky and land on your lap. You know, I've had some good times. I've had some really great times. I've had some pretty drastically poor times too, through the process of all of this learning. But I've never sat myself and looked directly down at my spot. I've always been looking forward and out there. You know, it's always a road that goes like this. It's never static. It doesn't go up. It doesn't go flat. Well, it can. If you don't change anything, it'll just stay the same. Nothing will ever change. But, you know, like, that's the part about the programming, the internal programming. I know, you know, when my mind gets going, I kind of deviate into a whole bunch of different avenues. But what makes someone so different? And, you know, even though there might be fail forward, there might be some challenging times, this too shall pass. That's the heart and soul of an entrepreneur. That's Steve Jobs. I mean, he was so passionate about everything he did. It was about building and developing, and it's like you and I every day, we're always talking about growth and change and what can we do this here and what can we do that. It's so inspiring to me. You know, when we get on the phone in the morning, we can talk for 2-3 hours sometimes. Yeah. And it's so enlightening to me. It's so like food for my brain that I'm always inspired to see things in a different way, to do things in a different way, to change, to challenge myself. You know, is that just such a different breed today, or like what? I don't get it.
Well, you know what? The big thing about marketing, I think, is that there's a massive emphasis on manipulation. There's a massive emphasis
on do nothing.
The illusionary facade, and that's what I mean by codependency. You see, a codependent person is not living their truth. And I know that. I used to be a very codependent person. So codependency is a very unhealthy psychological, spiritual, physical place to be in. The whole realm. Financially, you don't want to be codependent. It's a very sick place. It truly is. And I say that from experience. I'm not taking a shot at anyone other than myself. And so until you start seeking the truth, you'll never find contentment. You can't be content. You won't have that. I don't believe that you can evolve without seeking truth.
Yeah. And you know what? Sorry.
Yeah. So
you're right, because that goes, it's full circle around to what we were talking right from the very beginning. And I think that people are afraid of the truth. I think that people have their heads in the sand for a very definite reason, because it's really difficult to analyze yourself and not see perfection. I mean, everybody thinks that they're that and a bag of chips, but if you start taking components apart, the most empowering thing you can ever do is realize that you're not quite as good at as what you thought you were, and there's always room to grow. And when you want to be around people, like if you're going to stay the same, you're going to stay around the same group of people, you're going to have the same conversations, you're going to bitch about the same problems, nothing ever changes, nothing ever resolves, and you know what? Tomorrow comes and everybody's doing exactly the same thing again. So, it's kind of like, it's like you got to finally at some point stick your toe in the door and say, stop the insanity, let me out. And, good, bad, or ugly, this has to change. And, I think people are either not pressured hard enough into that change to want it bad enough, or I don't know. What do you think?
Well, let me say this to you. Codependent people are not happy. They'll never find happiness. And when you take a look at our industry, the ones that are happy are the ones like you and I that are doing videos, that have come out, that expose ourselves. I'm not worried about being judged. I could care less. I know where my life's going, and it's not going to be affected by anyone else's judgment. I don't get caught up in, even in my house, I don't get caught up in the judgments that may be on me. I know where I'm going, and that's Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Donald Trump, for example. I mean, I'm not here to talk about American politics, but Donald Trump doesn't care what anyone thinks. His life is his life, and he's going to do what he's going to do.
And he's spoken very truthfully about a lot of things that people that didn't want to hear, but that they chastised him for in the beginning. Like I said, I'm not going one way or the other on the Trump.
Yeah, but he spoke a lot of he spoke a lot of truths out there, and that made people feel uncomfortable. But truth goes through three scenarios. First it's what is it? Ridiculed, then it's violently opposed, and then it's accepted. So there's a whole desensitization process with truth. Even when I was doing Mentors in Motion, it was violently opposed. It was super successful. It was violently opposed. But years later, people come back to me and say, "Oh my God, you were like Yoda. You were right. All the thing." And I thought you were just a crack. They thought I was a crackhead or a crackpot because of some of the things I was doing. They say, some people said the guy, it's a scam and all that stuff. And now they found Jesus or found the light or found something. They've come back and said, "Oh my God, you're spot on." 15 years later, 20 years later. So when you start seeking the truth, that's when you start seeing the change in the results. And the ones in this industry that are doing exceptionally well, when you think of some of the big names, and I don't need to name them, I think you all know who they are. You'll see them on stage. You'll see them on magazine covers. You'll hear them in interviews. You'll see them on video. And I think, thinking about Steve Jobs and the iPhone, he talked about, the guy was like brilliant. He really was genius because, and one of the things I told you that I picked up out of the movie as well too was, why is the screen on an iPhone black? Why is it black? So you can see your reflection. So when you look at the iPhone and it's turned off and you look at a black screen, you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're getting a reflection of yourself. Steve wanted to see himself. He wanted to see who he want the I am. That's the I am. That's you. And those thoughts don't come out of a big bang. They really don't come out of a big bang. That's why I think there's got to be a bigger master plan. Just the way the world is, the levels in the water and the Earth's balance and the Earth's axis, and the way the different regions are spread out, and there's just so many things out there that are
do you think
far outweigh the scientific approach to creation. Far outweigh the scientific approach to creation. Go ahead.
No, well, the visionaries. I mean, Steve Jobs. The Bill Gates and all these people. The visionary, and you were one too, definitely, because you were ahead of your time, right? Visionaries have they're like you say, they're ridiculed, they're made fun of, they're all of that stuff, and yet so many years later down the road, people go back and look and say, well, shit, why didn't I think about that, or why didn't I thought about that back then. But again, here's the differentiation between the pioneers, the people who have the guts or the balls to actually see it so clearly and act upon it. And I think that's the change, is that they act upon it, because there's a lot of people have great ideas, but they never get out of the chute with it, right?
Yeah, they're still caught up in the fear process. They're still caught up in the codependency. They're still caught up with putting outside entities on pedestals, creating false gods, creating false, mentors, coaches, gurus, whatever it is. It really all is a facade. We can tap into it. We have the gift to tap into it. Some people worship the ground, certain people walk on, and I get it. I mean, I was there too, but eventually you can evolve past all of that. So you don't look at another human being in any which way, shape, or form like that. But just going back to the iPhone, and when you look at the iPhone and it had the black cover, what do you see? You see yourself. And I think for marketers to evolve and grow is they have to tap into the system. People need to tap into, I believe, is the I am system. It's not this new autoresponder, blah, blah. They need to tap into the I am themselves, and they have to feel comfortable with themselves. And that's where you go through the pain. And we see it in Facebook chats, people saying, oh my God, I just put out a video and I'm really scared. I hope my video's okay. And they've got all kinds of cotton coming out of their mouth because their mouth's dry and all that stuff. Right, cotton ball mouth, and hands are, it's like this, and their hands are all sweaty and hard a couple of days. This is my first video, and I hope you like me, and I hope you'll accept me, and I hope you won't reject me, and I hope you won't judge me. But this is my first video, and I'm in a company, and I'm doing really well. And I made a sale. I made 2 sales this year, and I'm pretty excited about it. And okay, have a good day. Bye. But that's real to people. They go through that trauma. But the beautiful thing is, I'm really excited about the direction that you and I are going, which we won't get into in a really big way. But it's so important for people to feel comfortable, making goofy faces, or whether you're good looking or not so good looking in your own eyes. I mean, whoever judges that, I don't know. But you know
what, Val? Confidence is very attractive.
It is, and I got to tell you something. You made me think about it, right? Because some of us guys aren't Fabio, but we still come out and we do our thing. We know that. But I was thinking about the singer. There's a band called Simply Red, and I think I told you this before. The singer in Simply Red, he was in an interview, and he says, I know I'm not a very attractive human being, because some people think he's definitely not an attractive human being. But you know what? This guy scores more chicks than Carter has liver pills.
He's cool.
I mean, this guy's conquered so many beautiful women, and I'm not saying that in a porn way, or it's just he. This is a guy that came to Earth, made a choice. He might not have had the greatest physical appearance on earth, but he found a way to capitalize it, like you said, in various different ways. He's a beautiful singer. I mean, oh my God, you hear Simply Red songs, like, you know, you're like, oh my God, this is, the guy's like, you know, out of this world. And I think every human being has the opportunity to be out of this world. I really, really do. And people just need to come out and start loving themselves and feeling good about themselves and stepping up and taking a risk. I mean, I used to puke my brains out for 14 months, 18 months before I'd go on a conference call. And people said I was the best conference call presenter in the world. They thought I was some guy that landed on a planet. I remember getting on the calls. Oh, you got to hear this Val Smith, like 1998, 99, 2000. You got to hear this guy. Like, this guy's charismatic. Is he, you know, the Christians would say, you know, is he evangelical and all that stuff? And because I'd speak fast and I didn't even have to think. All this stuff would just flow out of me. That's because I had to get the presentation over fast so I could go puke. They didn't know that, but they thought they thought I was ordained by, you know, a higher power to save the world and stuff like that, right? But I was hurrying up so I could go puke. I was gagging and the heart was palpitating, and you know, I was tripping. So the whole point being, guys, is you can evolve. We really need to work on ourselves. We really need to, if you're going to chase tools, if you're going to chase marketing systems, and you're going to chase tools, I understand that. Don't just get infatuated with letters. Don't just get infatuated with the pretty back office, you know, in the new bells and whistles or the new app. You know, most people don't even know how to use the apps in their phone anyhow. There's so many apps out there. But, you know, that's why, you know, there's always an upgrade in iPhones and stuff like that. They're adding new apps. Oh, I got to get this one. Oh, this is faster. It does this. It's got all these really cool apps in it. Most people don't even know how to use that stuff. But they just have to fit in and they buy that stuff anyhow, or line up or sleep out overnight. Bottom line is, you know, take your game to the next level and find systems. And if it's mentorship, or, you know, you're looking for teachers and role models and things like that, find teachers and role models that practice the things that you should be bringing into your life in order to take your game to the next level. So tap into video. I mean, yeah, learn how to be comfortable with video. Overcome, you know, your inhibitions about yourself and what you look like and how you feel, and whether you got, you know, fake eyelashes on this eye and you forgot to put them on that eye. Who cares? Whatever it is. Yeah, just, you know, if you don't have your wig on tonight, I don't have my wig on tonight. I'm still receding here. Next time I'll have my wig on to cover my bald head. But you know, you just learn to live and love yourself and do it, and to share and feel comfortable with who you are. And people really need to start feeling comfortable with who they are, because chasing money and chasing systems, yeah, it's a pipe dream. It's good. Every experience is going to be good. Many people will perceive it bad, I think, but it's going to be very horrific to a lot of people out there, and it doesn't have to be. So the first system that people need to work on is themselves, I think, and really understand that system of the I am. Be able to look in that iPhone and say, you know what, I'm a wonderful person. You know, I won that incredible battle out of the trillions and billions of sperms that were released in the Big Bang. You know, back at the beginning of your Genesis, whatever year you were born, you beat everybody out. You've got something big to do. You conquered. I mean, you took on billions and billions of other potential entities and souls and spirits, and you came out the victor. And it's the same thing in life. We don't have to go through life. I look at life. I look at people, and do people really need to go to work for 30, 40, 50 years of their life? Do people really need to miss out on their children? Do people really need to miss out on relationships? Do people really, you know, need to give their life and their energy force and their time and their existence to another entity? Day in, day out, and do that every day. Like, do we have to do that? Is that right? Is that normal? Is that just the way it was because that's God's will or somebody's will? Or, you know, how healthy is that? I mean, I don't know. In the world, that's totally unhealthy, mentally unhealthy in the world that I live in. I can't relate to that.
But you know what? I think that was kind of the way that we were brought up in our era, because, you know, you and I were kind of brought up through that same era about, you know, go get an education, get a job, get a pension, all that stuff. Society doesn't work like that anymore, because there are no pensions, there are no jobs, and the jobs that are out there that are getting, you know, the pay is getting less and people are having to work longer. So there is an alternative. So I think that the swing is kind of coming around where people have to make those decisions. I don't think that they're doing, a lot of people aren't doing it willingly. They're going to have to change. And I mean, you know, back in talking about just having a home business, if you don't have one, you know what, you're really giving free money to the government because there's all those tax write-offs. If you don't have one, you should have one. Now, the other part of that, I mean, that's just a side note for another conversation. But, you know, about on the video component of this, you know, we talked about looking in the mirror. You know, take a good look at yourself. And what better place to take a look at yourself than in a video, for heaven's sakes? You know, there's a great place. People really are very forgiving. I mean, your friends, I mean, if you go out there without ego and just say, look, you know, I'm really, you know, this is my first effort. I'm trying, you know, this is what I'm trying to do, you know, and just be yourself. You know what, your friends will support you. You know, just, you know, people will come along and support you in doing so. Yeah, you're going to get the odd jerk out there, but you know what, that's the test of your mettle. That's about, you know what, you have to be able to pay attention to what's important to pay attention and not pay attention to things that are not important. And do I want to keep going forward? Yes, I do. And the really great thing is that once you get that very first one done, you know what? You'll never, ever be as bad as you were on the first one. So you can always go and do the next one and get better and get better and get better. It's like practicing scales on the piano. The first time you do it, you hit all the wrong notes. The next time, you know, you start hitting all the right notes. Next thing you know, you can change keys, and then you can do jazz chords and everything else. Next thing you know, you're a virtuoso. But you didn't start out with knowing all of that in the beginning. You had to go and trip over a few and sound really bad before you sounded really good. This is no different. And, you know, and I think that it's the fear factor. We already know in our minds that we suck. We just don't want to see it physically, right? But you know what? And you and I talk, I've shared this story before. When you and I first started talking, the very first time, and you said, we texted, and then you said, what's your phone number? So you called, and we got onto Skype and shared video, because that's what you do. And that was, I said, you know what? That was the very first time I had ever shared video with anyone ever. And it was with you, because you made me feel safe. And so I trusted you, and that was the know, like, and trust component to it. So we had built a relationship. I knew who you were. I felt comfortable and safe in the environment to say, okay, here, I'm going to do it. Now I'm going, okay, well, here it is. My hair's not brushed, and here's my cup of coffee, you know, and it's just, and that's what friends do, you know. And so now you're in a friendly environment. You can actually bear who you are, and people will love you. This is what people don't understand. They're going to love you more for who you are when you are showing more of who you are than if you don't. And that's personal branding. And that's what you and I talk a lot about, personal branding. And there's some good people out there teaching some good things, and there's a lot of people out there teaching not so good things. But what it comes down to in the whole home business arena is personal branding. They're not going to buy a link. They're not going to join from you parking your link into somebody's private chat or on Skype or on Facebook. I get them all the time. And I don't know who you are. I'm not joining you. I'm not even clicking on that link, because I think you could be hacking me. I don't know. I mean, but you know what? I will listen to you, and I'll talk with you, and I'll build that relationship. And you know what? Yeah, let's get on a video chat and get to know each other. And you know what? That's the beauty of this industry. That's the relationship part of it. And I've made friends from all around the world. Are we all working together now? No. But you know what? We may at a later date. And people are so into the immediate. It's all about today. And if it doesn't work today, it's over. But they don't know how to build and grow and build and grow and build and grow. And it's all about that working towards tomorrow, but doing it today to get there, right?
Yeah, there was a time that I couldn't recruit myself. Meaning, yeah, totally. I couldn't recruit myself. People need to recruit themselves first. The first person you need to recruit and get on board is yourself. Yeah. And there was a time I couldn't recruit myself. Now I can always recruit myself. And you know, people say that it's not products people buy. It's not the company. People buy you. People buy into your personality. They buy into And then you've got people out there on the internet or off the internet, and they wonder why they're not making money when they're recruiting or think they're recruiting. They're not even sold on themselves. So how can they sell other people? You know, how can you close other people when you haven't even closed yourself on yourself? And that's evident just in the things that people hold back. So you can only attract what you are. You can only recruit at the level you are or less than. So ask yourself the question, could you recruit yourself? And would you want to recruit yourself? Would you be your first choice? And I'm always my first choice. There's nobody on the planet I'd rather recruit than myself.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's the big. There's nobody. If I number one draft choice would always be Val Smith. Everyone else, you know, I don't care who they are. They're going to be second, third, fourth, or fifth, because I believe I've elevated my skill set to a unique skill set that nobody else in the world has. And I don't mean that I'm out there where you know, only I'm the only person in the world knows how to do this. My skill set's unique. Your skill set's unique for you. Other people's skill sets are unique for them. That's why I don't believe in duplication. I'm not stupid. I don't believe in duplication. So my skill set can't be duplicated because it's my personality, it's my spirit, it's my beingness that separates myself from every other human being out there.
But one of the things that, and I've said this to you before, I said that I think that we've got a great working relationship and a great friendship. I know that I can rely on you, right? That when you, like, I never ever have to worry whether you're going to show up. I always know that there's going to be truth in the conversation. You and I can get into a debate or a conversation about something. We both bring a different viewpoint to the table. And it always consistently, I guess that's kind of a double whatever, but it always grows. There's always something really creative that comes out of it. And I don't know that, like, and I think that that's really great about part of what this industry is about, is that people don't get. It's about doing things together. It's not, you just don't go buy a business kit and everybody's a lone soldier. It's about building and growing and developing and changing and personal development. And you know what, I you know, and I know all the things that you've accomplished. You know, I've got a different set of accomplishments in different areas too, but it's like there's a place where you blend together and you both complement each other. And that's where it's wonderful, because that growth continues, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I believe in the power of the mastermind. Everything Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, it's the power of the mastermind. It's not about duplication. I don't understand, you know, again, why people who I think are intelligent still talk about duplication and all that, you know, pathetic kind of.
It's marketing. It's marketing tactic for money.
I don't even know if it's marketing anymore. I think it's just. I got to be careful with the words I use sometimes. I know. You know, but I'll just say it. It's stupid. I mean, duplication is stupid, and stupid. You know, it's just sheer stupidity. It's not rocket science. It's common sense. Duplication doesn't work. You know, people aren't duplicatable. Yeah, okay. Well, systems are. No, they're not. The end result's going to be different. Teach people the power of delegation. Teach people the power of leverage. Teach people the power of the mastermind. You know. Go out there, like, even if you want to go back and let's bring Jesus Christ into this for a moment. Went out there with 12 disciples. You know, people say, well, that was a duplicated concept. Christ shared a message with them, and they went out in the world and shared the message. They told the story a different way. They all told different stories in a different way, and they looked different, and they presented different, and the results were different. And you know, yeah. They died at different times, and their experiences were different. But you create a mastermind. You build a team around you,
and a culture. We talked about culture.
A culture. It's like a basketball team. You know, you got a point guard. You've got a center. You know, you've got all these different positions. It's just everybody takes on a specialized role, and that's where people connect. That's where there's a connection, or that's where what was the word you used a little while ago? People complement each other, complement each other. People complement each other. But how do you complement? Like if there were 10 Vals sitting here, like 10 goofy duplicates of me sitting here on this call. My God, I would get off. I wouldn't want to hear this crap. I'd be off in a second. I wouldn't want to be, hearing 10 valves going off on here. I'd be gone. That's crazy. So the whole point being is you want to be unique. You want to be different, and accepting yourself and accepting that as a beautiful gift. It's a gift. And people just so sidetracked with all the things that don't matter in this industry. The first thing that matters is the I am, is you, and putting yourself in a position of strength and not weakness. And if I didn't go through, what I went through, the puking and the anxiety and the sweats and the pacing and, just the everything, I wouldn't be able to do this today. I'd still be the same shy, introverted person, with a wet dream someday to make $100, instead of making over $1 million bucks. It's a different world, it's a different world, and everyone has access to that world. You just got to give yourself permission to access it. It's there.
Yeah.
There's no guru on the planet that's going to come and wave a magic wand and say, abracadabra, I just changed you. Yeah. You're going to have to go through what you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through the physical, the spiritual, the emotional, everything. You're going to have to go through all that encompasses becoming the great person you were meant to be. And that's going to be a lot of pain for a lot of people. There's no shortcut in the gym. You've got to lift the weights.
Yeah, and the good news is that you could never be the same person you were yesterday. And the bad news is that you'll never be the same person that you were yesterday. It's always a period of growth. So what you do today, what you do with that is really up to you. And that's really takes it around full circle to what we talked about right at the very beginning, is the truth is it's all about you. Right?
Yeah, think about 100 years ago. The people of 100 years ago can't relate to the people of today. And the people of today can't relate to those of 100 years ago, other than what we've learned in history, read in books. But the mindset was different. The physical activity was different. The dreams, the ambitions were different. We've evolved greatly. I mean, medicine has come a long way. Medicine of today had to change. Mm-hmm. It's not medicine of 1930s anymore. Technology and operations, everything's changed. I went back to Toronto, for example, this summer to go back and to feel some of the things that I felt that I was missing. It's gone. It's gone forever. The change it's changed. The neighborhood's changed. The type of the people in the high school have changed. It's everything, where we used to hang out. Everything's changed.
What's interesting in that, let's go on that journey just for a moment. But in your mind, before you got there, you had a perception, right? You had a perception. You had a memory and a perception before you got there about everything from your past. When you got there, it changed. So your memory and your perception now is different, right?
It's been totally altered.
Yeah.
The people are gone. The friends are gone. They're not 19 anymore. They're 53. Their parents are dead now. Going back to see their parents and stuff like that, and being 19 and eating at their house, and their mom would bring stuff. Their parents were, in their 40s or 50s. They're dead. They're gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's different now. And you learn to accept that. And that's where we reincarnate. I'm not talking about reincarnate coming back in past lives. We reincarnate in the physical life. We go through changes. We go through metamorphosis. Maybe not. Well, physically too. I don't look the way I did when I was 19. So we morph, we change, we go through a clock, we grow the clock, we grow through experience. We're caught in different chapters in lives, and that chapter in the book is different all the time. The character starts to change in personality. A baby's not in diapers anymore. Eventually that baby in diapers is not the goo-goo little baby. You just want to tickle its, little feet. That baby's 14 years old now, and different personality. They don't look the same. They don't resemble anything that they look like when they were 8 months old. Right. It's changed.
So I think some people get stuck reading the same chapter or the same paragraph over and over and over again, and they fail to turn the page.
They fail to get out of the diapers. You've got a lot of adults walking around in diapers. And that's what we say, we don't want to run a daycare center, I've got to change people's diapers. There's a lot of people in this industry that just feel like, oh my God, I feel like I'm running a daycare center. I'm, taking care of a bunch of little babies here. Look, they're stuck. So you get these adults running around and, wearing Pampers, and they won't let it go. They have to let it go. Change is a difficult thing.
Oh, Val.
I think we're good.
We're coming up here. We're at the top of the hour. This is always so therapeutic for me. It's just great. We get a chance to just, throw some thoughts back and forth and talk about change and where we're going and hopefully we can assist some people along the way. And it's always been a delight, it has been a delight. It always is when we get a chance to spend some time like this and actually be able to broadcast it live for everybody else too. So. Anyways, thanks for sharing some time with me. Thanks for all of you up there for sharing time with us together as well. And Sunday night sessions, it's been a blast. We'll see you again next week.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.